Hello and welcome to another live stream from the IELTS Grind. So just while we're setting up, my name's Phil and welcome everyone if you're already in the chat. So today we're going to be looking at an essay for task 1 from a student. So one of you watching who submitted your essay, and we're going to go through that and talk about it. So just while we wait for a few more people to join us, let me just point out a few things for you. So first of all, if you haven't been visiting our YouTube channel, make sure that you come here. There are lots and lots and lots of videos about everything you might want to know about the IELTS. I think we've done nearly 130 different videos in the last year. So if you haven't been watching our videos, make sure you do that. And hello, good afternoon to everyone who's here. The other thing to know is if you come over to our website, the IELTSgrind.com, you can check out the live stream schedule, which is up here, and it will bring you down to this table, which if we have a look, so today is the 18th, Friday, so it's me, Phil, scheduled at 7 o'clock Taiwan time. You know that because you're here, and we're looking at a task 1 essay. Okay, and if you have a look at the rest of the schedule, you can see what's happening. We're going live almost every day, at least until July. And if you guys enjoy it and you want to watch, we will continue doing live streams. So Tundi, yeah, you sent an essay, so I believe that we've already done that. So we did a correction. So let's see. I remember we've gone over yours, but which one was it? That's a good question. Yes, we've definitely corrected at least one from you recently. I will have a look and figure out which one it is. I'm just looking through our videos right now. Yeah, I think I did this the other week. Yeah, so we've definitely gone through and we've done it. We've got so many live streams, I can't remember which one it is. Maybe it was this one. Yeah. Okay. Remind me later, and I will send you a link to that one. We've already gone through yours. It's on the YouTube channel here, but we've done quite a few live streams in the last week or so, and I will find that and send it to you. Okay. Yeah, you got it? Okay. Don't forget, if you want to send any more essays to us, you can do that at corrections@the-IELTSgrind.com. We're accepting as many essays as you want to send at the moment. We will say at some point if we can't correct all of them straight away, but that hasn't happened yet. Okay, so yes, come to the YouTube channel, plenty of videos to watch. Come to the website, the IELTSgrind.com, to check out our schedule. We may be updating this to do some more speaking instead of just writing. If that's what you guys want, make sure you leave a comment with a request. But today, let's talk about what we're going to look at. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at a map question. Hopefully you guys can see this. I don't know if I can zoom in somehow. Let me see if I zoom this in a little bit. This might be better. Is that going to be? Yeah, okay, let's do that. It's a little bit closer, isn't it? A little bit easier to see on the screen. Okay, so we're going to be looking at a map question for task 1. So this is academic IELTS. It's not general IELTS. And we're going to look at an overview quickly of what you should include in a map structure, a map essay structure. I'm going to analyze the student's essay looking at all 4 criteria. So task achievement, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, and grammar. I'm actually going to go through line by line and correct the essay. And then I'm going to give you a Band 9 model answer that I wrote myself. Okay, so yeah, don't worry, we will do some letters. This is the task 1 general. But if you stick around, I think you'll learn just from the approach. So looking at task achievement, looking at lexical resource and grammar. These things aren't really just for academic. The general and academic writing is graded in the same way. So even though you may not have this question, Tunde, I think you'll find it a useful video. But don't forget, Michael recently looked at an example of a letter. So that's on the live stream. You can check that out as well. That's already on the website. Hello, Reghav. How are you today? Okay, so this is the schedule. So let's jump in, if everyone can hear me. And we're going to have a look at this one. So this was submitted by Shoki, and it's actually, I might zoom out just a tad here. Let's try that. So this is actually one of the questions that we came up with. It's inspired by a real one. And it says the plans below show a museum when it was first opened in 1880 and the same museum in 2020. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. So this might be a little bit difficult to see on the screen, but if you look in the chat, I've linked to the document. So we always share these documents. So you can access this if you're watching along, or you can also go back and have a look at it at the end of the live stream. So this is the question. So first of all, we're quickly going to read through what this student wrote, and then I'm going to go through the structure that we need and then analyze it bit by bit. So this is what Shoki wrote. This is a comparison of a building structure when it was first opened in 1880 and its structure in 2020. The map illustration shows that the foyer has been replaced by a main exhibition hall. Moreover, the central corridor has been repositioned to the left side facing the garden, and area has been reduced to allocate more area to National History Hall, in which the previous exhibition hall is also merged in 2020. Oh, a mouthful. Local History and Ancient Egypt Hall are now adjacent on the right side of the previous corridor, which is now shortened and facing the garden left side. New area for canteen and toilet is included on the very far side facing garden, now named as picnic area. Lecture theatre is built in new allocated area left to natural history facing the picnic theatre. So very long paragraph. And then it says, in comparison, the new building of 2020 is better than previous because of enlargement of Natural History Museum, which means more collection is added now. Visitors don't have to go out to get food and refreshment and for washroom, as they are provided inside the building premises, which means that they can spend more time in the museum and do more research. Finally, addition of lecture theatre indicate now more audio-visual support is available for students and researchers. Okay, so this is what Shoki wrote, and we're going to go through it bit by bit, talking about what was good and what could be improved. So the first thing is the basic essay structure for maps, for task 1 in general. So you want to start off with an introductory sentence. this is a little bit like an introduction in task 2, but it doesn't do exactly the same thing. All you have to do is write maybe 1, maybe 2 sentences where you introduce the context. For example, the map shows this, this, and this. It's as simple as that. The reason we need the introductory sentence is because if you didn't have it, the reader would be confused. They wouldn't know where the information came from. So this is the only sentence where you want to refer to the map. You don't want to keep talking about the map in the rest of your essay because it will be confusing for the reader because they do not have the map in front of them. So this is the only sentence where you say the map shows or the illustrations show. Okay, then after that we want to have the overview. It is possible to write an overview at the end of a task 1, but we always recommend you write it at the beginning, because if you forget to write an overview, a clear overview, you cannot get higher than a band 5. And it's a good thing to put it at the beginning because you'll always remember to write it. It also makes it a little bit easier to read what you're saying. It's the way we talk in English. We start off with the basic idea first, the direct answer, and then we give supporting details. So I always recommend put the overview at the beginning. Then we're going to have at least 2 body paragraphs. And the way I would write this is, in your first paragraph, what happened first. So if it is 2 maps, one being in the past and one in the present, write about what you could see in the first map, in 1880, for example. And in the second paragraph, maybe concentrate on what changed, a comparison. You can write this in different ways, but this is the general approach. First tell the reader what was there, then tell the reader how it changed. So that's the basic structure. Introductory sentence, overview, body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2. Right, so if you're enjoying the videos, don't forget to give us a like. And if you've got any suggestions for the live streams, anything you would like to hear more about or less about, then leave a comment on the video or in the chat. And also, if you've got any questions, anything that I didn't explain well enough, leave a comment and I will of course get back to you. Okay, so task achievement. This is one of the 4 areas that you're graded on, and if you come to any of our videos, for example this one, which is the live stream, if you go down to the description, you can click on where it says writing task 1, task 2, and this will show you the writing band descriptors. This is your IELTS Bible for writing. This tells you exactly what you need to do in order to get the band score that you want. Hi Naz, how are you today? How is the weather today in my city? So I have to be honest with you, I didn't go outside apart from this morning. I took my dog Mia for a walk and it was very sunny and very, very hot. Taiwan gets very hot in the summer and we're just reaching that period. But apart from that, I've been sitting at my desk all day working. So how's the weather where you are? Okay, so this is how we grade it. So task achievement, if I jump back to, task achievement. How well did Shoki, I've forgotten on the name. Yeah, Shoki, there we go. How well did Shoki address the task? Did they understand the question? Did they do everything they had to? If we look at it, the first sentence, the introductory sentence, is really good. It's very clear. It shows us exactly what what it's about here. And then the issue is between this sentence in green, and then it says the map illustration shows that foyer has been replaced by a main exhibition hall. Okay, now I wonder if any of you watching, could you suggest why I've put that second sentence in orange? Because the first sentence is in green, and pretty much the rest of this paragraph is green too. So the first sentence is great, and the rest of this is pretty good. But why is this sentence in orange? What could be the issue? So I'm going to give you a moment to write something. So Raghav says, I can't beat the weather of Great India. So is the weather nice in India? I don't know. I've never been to India, I have to admit. So I always imagined it would be rather hot, especially in the south. But I suppose it's such a big country, the weather must be different in different parts. Yeah. Here in Taiwan, the weather is really, really nice. I would say in winter, it's very temperate. It doesn't get too cold. And when I first moved to Taiwan, because I'm from the UK, it was lovely in October and November to be walking around in a t-shirt and shorts. I couldn't believe that. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, well, maybe India should be on my list of places to go when we can travel. Yeah, no one's been able to travel recently, have they? So back to this. Why is there a problem in this task 1 between the introductory sentence and the rest of the paragraph? Oh, it's rainy, is it, today? Okay. That's a shame. Yeah, it's been a very nice day. Yeah. So what could be the problem with this? Now think back to the structure, because task achievement is very much how you addressed the question, but it's also to do with the structure. Okay. So you can check what it says here in the band descriptors. Okay, you can check that by looking in the description. So I'm going to give you a clue. The first issue is basically this. The paragraph structure is not good. You really want the introductory sentence to be a separate paragraph, a separate line. Yeah. So that's an issue. The other thing is, if you read through this, there is no overview. Shoki has not written an overview, not a clear overview. So this means that automatically this is going to get a band score 5 and no higher. You must have an overview, because this is the only way to fully address the task. So there's no overview. And the other issue is with this second paragraph. I'm going to read it to you again. So in red, it says, in comparison, the new building of 2020 is better than previous because of enlargement of Natural History Museum, which means more collection is added now. Visitors don't have to go out to get food or refreshment and for washroom, as they are provided inside the building premises, which means they can spend more time in the museum and do more research. So I'm actually going to change this, because this sentence is actually fine, but this part is not. And then finally, addition of lecture theatre indicates now more audiovisual support is available for students and research. So yeah, this is the issue. So here, what Shoki has done is better than this thing here, okay? What has Shoki done? What has Shoki given us? What has Shoki told the examiner about the museum and its changes? If you think you know, can you write it in the chat? What has Shoki done here which we don't need to do and we shouldn't do in a task 1? There are 3 rules, and these are rules that Michael actually came up with. I think he's come up with a good little way to remember this. But actually, Shoki has broken 2 of the 3 most important rules of task 1. Can anyone spot what Shoki has done here and the reason why this is in red? I'll give you a little bit of time to think about it. Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize India had a mild climate. I studied geography at university, and I didn't know that. Terrible. So, I'm going to give you about 30 seconds, and then I'm going to tell you the big mistake with this essay. Something that should be avoided. Krishna, thank you for putting the comment. It's not the comparison. The comparison is exactly what should be done. So this is brilliant. The fact that Shoki's trying to compare, that's absolutely fine. The issue is Shoki said is better than. What is that? Is better than. Yes, it's a comparative adjective, but it sounds like an opinion. Shoki has given an opinion in task 1. You never give an opinion. As Michael says, no I, meaning no opinions. So Shoki is saying what he or she thinks. Okay. The other thing is here where it says which means, and here which means. What Shoki is doing here is explaining why, or the effect of these things. So no I, no why. We don't have to explain why it happened or what happened later. We're not asked to do that. So this is not necessary. And the third thing is no conclusions. Luckily, Shoki did not write a conclusion here, but basically this last paragraph is useless. It's not going to count towards the score. So why did Shoki do this? It's because they ran out of things to say. So this is the big problem, and this is why I only gave this a band score 5. There's no overview, automatically gets a 5, and because of this last paragraph, it wouldn't have done much better anyway. Okay, so Naz, remind me if I don't talk about that later on. We'll talk about what you can do. Yeah. You know, it's try not to feel nervous about this exam. It's just an English exam. You know, it's not really testing anything about you apart from speaking English. So just enjoy it. It's an interesting experience, and once it's over, you will forget about it very quickly. But yeah, we'll talk about that later on. Right. So coherence and cohesion. In fact, I think that Shoki did a very good job here. Everything is logically laid out, and it's very easy to follow. Everything like that. It's a really good way of writing it. I've just highlighted a few things. So we've had some good cohesive devices, a few. Moreover, in comparison, finally, and just some sort of logical timeline with words like are now. So I think Shoki does a pretty good job of making it easy to follow what they're saying. So for that, I gave them a 6. It's between a 6 and a 7, but more of a 6. I think they did a pretty good job here. The only issue is perhaps with that paragraph at the end. It still does take away from what they're writing. In terms of lexical resource, so here there's a lot more to talk about, okay? So I'm going to take a little bit more time to go through this part. Right, so first of all, in the first sentence, in orange, Shoki says, building structure. It's not a good phrase to use because it's pretty much the same thing, either building or structure. We might, where was it? There you go. We might get rid of building just because structure is a little bit higher level, I would say. Here it was first opened. It's a spelling mistake. It's just something we need to catch. And then you can see basically in purple all throughout this essay. The reason why I've highlighted this is because, for example, foyer, if we go back and look at the question, foyer is the name given in 1880 for this one. Okay, and if you compare the map to what Shoki's written, they basically used the same word again and again and again. So Tundi, I see that you've got a comment. I remember, I'm writing a note to myself now. I will send you that email and I will link to the video because you've got all the feedback there. So I'm writing a note to myself and I will send that to you as soon as I finish, just so you have access to that. I will double check because if we haven't done it yet, it's on our list. So yeah, we'll get that feedback to you, not a problem. So basically, in purple, they've just used the same word. So just a note on foyer. So I'm from the UK, and I say this word foyer like that, A at the end. In America, they pronounce it differently. They say foyer. It's a French word, so in the UK, we say it in the French way, which is strange because in America, sometimes they use the French pronunciation. For example, with fish, they say a filet fish, and we say fillet. So it's not consistent. But a foyer is an entrance hall, an entrance area. So basically, what I would like to see Shoki do is to use some different words if they knew it, or to maybe paraphrase the phrases. If you stick around to the end, you'll find basically that we will see that in my model answer. What's that, Raghav? You're saying need a moderator for these classes? Yeah, we when we started doing this, we would have me talking and Michael in the chat and vice versa. But we do these live streams between lessons, right? So at the moment, Michael's working. This is why Michael does the afternoon classes, like the afternoon live streams. And when he's doing that, generally I'm working. But you're right, maybe we should find some moderators to help. Okay, so in purple, it's just because it's exactly the same phrase as in the question. Sometimes you can't avoid it, but if you can, this will improve your lexical resource score. Everything in green I quite liked. Good phrases, left side facing. Good. To allocate more, allocated area. Collection, inside the building premises, really good. Audio visual support, enlargement of. There's some really good phrases here. in orange, we have this word area, to allocate more area to. I wouldn't say area here. I think the word is space. So area and space can mean the same thing, but they don't mean the same thing here. More space is the correct phrase. Also, it says here, is also merged in 2020. So Natural History Hall, in which the previous exhibition hall is also merged in 2020. It didn't happen in 2020. I would say by 2020. So January the 1st, 2020, it had already happened. So by. And just at the end here, picnic theatre. This is, I think, just a typo. It should be not theatre. It should be area. Okay. And moving on to the second paragraph. Again, we've got that green is good, purple is just repeated from the question. And I would recommend that we say, visitors don't have to go out to get food and refreshments. Always in the plural when we're talking about food and drink. And for washroom, I don't know if I would use washroom. I would use bathroom, restroom, if you want to use American English, or just toilets if you want to use British English. I think this is better than washroom. It may just be a preference. Just for me, I would say bathroom or toilet naturally rather than washroom. I'll have to ask Michael if washroom is actually something. Yeah, lavatory, that could also work. Yeah. And here I've put in red, as they are provided. It's okay they, I think I would say these are provided, these facilities. I think these would work better here. And yeah, apart from that, overall it's pretty good. I think that Shoki would get a range of 6 to 7 band, probably more of a 6 than a 7, I think. Just because there's a lot of repeated vocabulary from the question. And then finally, grammatical range and accuracy. It's a double-edged sword here. It's good and it's bad. What Shoki did is they used some really good complex grammar. So all this in green is excellent. So things like has been replaced by. So it's using present perfect in the passive form. Has been repositioned to. Has been reproduced to allocate more area, more space. In which the previous exhibition hall is also merged using relative clauses. It's really good high-level grammar. It's really good. I can't fault it. The only thing that drags this down is everything in yellow, so foyer, new area, canteen, new allocated area, previous. All of this is missing the foyer, the new area for the canteen in the new area. So this is the problem. Not writing the or an. Now, I suspect that Shoki is a Russian speaker. I suspect that. And I believe that in Russian, you don't have articles, the indefinite article and the definite article. It's very much the same in Mandarin Chinese. They don't have it. If there's something that exists in English or the language you're trying to learn, but doesn't exist in your language, you need to spend a lot of time studying that. When I was learning French, we don't have gender, so masculine, feminine, etc. in English. So I had to learn that certain words would change, have a masculine form or feminine form. And sometimes they have two forms depending on who's speaking. I had to learn that, so I concentrated on that. So this, despite all the great high-level grammar, this basic error, not including the article, drags this score down. So make sure that you learn how to use articles. Just a few things. So in red it says the garden and it is its area. It should be its area, so possessive pronoun rather than it is or it is. So this is a common error, so we want its. Here it says the new area for the canteen and toilet is included on the very far side. Now I think instead of saying is, we should say was, because it was included in the past. So using past tense when talking about the past. Most of this you can use present tense because they're reporting a fact now, that is true now, but this was an action that happened in the past. And the other thing here, lecture theatre, so the lecture theatre, again was built in the new allocated area left to natural history. So here, left to, grammatically it means that this area was not used in order for it to be used for the natural history part. But this is not what Shoki wants to say. It should be left of the natural history. It's a location. Left of is a location. Left to is an allocation for someone to use something. So it's grammatical, it's lexical resource, it's more grammatical. And here, the only other error in the second paragraph, it says, so the enlargement of the Natural History Museum, which means more collection is added now. I wouldn't say more collection. I would say perhaps a bigger collection, or more artifacts, more items, something like that. So again, I think this is a band 6 to 7, nearer to a 6, and it's really because of those articles. I think if Shoki had written the in the right place, this would be band 7. It's just a basic error and something that can be fixed if you proofread and learn how to use articles. Okay, so if you're still with me, yeah, if you find these videos useful, don't forget to give us a like. It does help us with the YouTube algorithm, which is not very kind to our channel. And if you have any questions at all, yeah, leave them in the chat. We'll talk about them towards the end of the video. But what I'm going to do now is actually go line by line and give a correction. Yeah, so mock speaking tests. Well, I'm doing a live stream tomorrow. I was going to open it up possibly to do a live Zoom call tomorrow, and whoever joins me can get a mock test, or at least part of a mock test tomorrow, and I'll give you some corrections live, so we can maybe do that tomorrow if anyone's around tomorrow. Okay, but yeah, so I'm going to go through and give a correction for Shoki for every single line of their essay, what they could write to improve their essay. Then I'm going to give a model essay that I wrote, which is slightly based on what they said here. Okay, so you can see in red what Shoki wrote, and not in red what I think they should write to improve that sentence. So I may not read all of the red sentences, but we'll see how this goes. So they wrote, this is a comparison of a building structure when it was first opened in 1880 and its structure in 2020. So this is an introductory sentence. I would write, the map shows a comparison of a building from when it was first opened in 1880 and its new structure in 2020. I think it's clearer to say the map shows. Shoki wrote, the map illustration shows that foyer has been replaced by a main exhibition hall. I would write the 1880 foyer was transformed into a large exhibition space by 2020. So the 1880 foyer, I'm using 1880 like an adjective, and was transformed. We want to use lots of phrases like this: transformed, constructed, used for. These kind of words are used when we're talking about the change in a map or building. And what I've done is, instead of saying a main exhibition hall, which is the word which they gave me in the map, I've paraphrased it and said into a large exhibition space. It's the same thing, but I haven't used the word. Shoki wrote, moreover, the central corridor has been repositioned to the left side facing the garden, and its area has been reduced to allocate more area to Natural History Hall, in which the previous exhibition hall is also merged in 2020. Moreover, this is what I wrote, moreover, the former central passage has been repositioned further to the left facing the grounds, as well as being reduced in size to enlarge the space for natural history. The room now consists of all the space at the rear of the building. So again, I've said pretty much the same thing as Shoki. I've just, instead of saying Natural History Hall, I've just said space for natural history. And rather than making a very long sentence, I've split it into two. This room now consists of all the space at the rear of the building. Okay? And then Shoki wrote, local history and ancient Egypt hall are now adjacent on the right side of the previous corridor, which is now shortened and facing the garden left side. All the information is there. We might just say it in a slightly different way. The two rooms which housed artifacts of Egyptian and local interest, Egyptian interests and local interests, just means the artifacts, used to be alongside the central passage. Should be a semicolon there. They have now been moved to the right of the modern corridor. So it's just the same information, but I've phrased it in a slightly different way. New area for canteen and toilet is introduced on the very far side facing garden, now named as picnic area. Oh, typo. A new part of the building located at the rear facing the gardens houses an eating area and restrooms, which with an area to eat outside behind the new Natural History Hall. So here I've actually used the same phrase. That's okay. I just don't want to overuse it. So I'm saying the same kind of thing. The main issue for me here was this, now named as picnic area. It's just not the way to refer to it. You might say which is now a picnic area. You know, it's not named a picnic area, it is a picnic area. Okay, just a few more. Shoki wrote, lecture theatre is built in new allocated area left to natural history facing the picnic theatre. I wrote, opposite this extension, I'm referring to what I've said before, on the other end of the natural history exhibitions is a dedicated lecture space which faces the outside tables and benches. So outside table and benches, it doesn't give me this information in the map, but that's referring to the picnic area, the area outside where you can eat. Okay, so this is the final paragraph. And you'll notice that I've written not needed in this area, this essay, sorry. That's because the information shouldn't be written, but I'm just going to correct it anyway. So I wrote, in comparison, the new 2020 building is better than the previous structure because of the enlargement made to the natural history space, which means a larger collection has now been added. Okay, so we don't want to include an opinion. This is just correcting what Shoki wrote, just to learn the correct sentence structure and grammar. Visitors don't have to go out to get food and other refreshments or to use the washroom, as these facilities are provided inside the building premises, which means they can spend more time in the museum and do more research. I didn't actually have to change too much to make that a perfect sentence. Finally, the addition of the lecture theatre indicates that now more audio-visual support is available for students and researchers. Okay, again, I didn't change too much there either. So that is what Shoki would have to write in order to rapidly improve what they wrote. So with those corrections, they would certainly be looking at a band 7, possibly between a 7 and 8. But because of the second paragraph, where it talks about opinions and why it happened, it wouldn't be as good as it should be. I mean, it's not as good as the model answer that we're going to look at. Okay, so if everyone's still with me, I'm just going to quickly read through my model answer, and then we can have some questions and talk about a few upcoming ideas that we have. Okay, so the first thing you should know about this is, because I'm a native speaker, I write more quickly than a student, and I tend to say things in slightly longer ways. You don't have to write as much as I have here, but you can certainly look at the way I've structured it and the sentences I've used, and you can adapt them for your own writing. Okay, and don't forget, you can access this document. You can have a look at it in the description. There is also a link to this document in the chat of the live stream. There's a link. You can read this and steal it for the future and try and push up your score. Okay, so this is what I wrote. Let's see how many typos I have in this one. Okay, the map shows the change in the layout of a museum originally built in 1880 and its present disposition in 2020. Overall, the structure has been redesigned internally, as well as having 2 extensions built, which has expanded the internal space considerably. So I've got an overview. I'm already doing better than Shoki. Firstly, the 1880 museum consisted of 5 main exhibition spaces which held various artifacts from different eras or for various interests. In addition, these were joined by a central walkway, which also gave access to the bathroom. Lastly, the entire building was set in gardens, which could be accessed from the building. So here, I've started off by setting the scene. I've said what existed in 1880, and I went through the key details: how many rooms there were, how you walked around the building, and the location of the building. Okay, this is to help me explain what I said in the overview, which is the fact that it's been changed dramatically. I go on to say, by 2020, the museum was unrecognizable and had undergone vast internal and external construction. So that's a topic sentence for what I'm going to write. The original entrance area had been transformed into a centerpiece which shows off the most prominent pieces of the museum's collection. Moreover, the entire layout of the other exhibition rooms has been changed. Whereas the corridor once ran along the spine of the building, it is now tucked away on the left-hand side of the building and gives access only to the rear exhibition hall. This space has been split into two rooms in 1880. This space had been split into two rooms in 1880, but in 2020 is now one central space. I'm talking about the rear of the building there. And I say this by saying this space, which is referring to the rear exhibition hall. So I'm referencing. And finally, I say the biggest changes have to be the two extensions which flank the rear room, displaying curiosities of natural history. These two new spaces house an area to dine and the new location of the bathrooms, and on the other side of the building, a lecture theatre. Outside, behind the exhibition hall, patrons are also now provided a place to dine al fresco. So, what I've done here, just a few things to point out. So, I'm using very high level vocabulary to rephrase things. Okay, curiosities of natural history. Curiosity is the same as saying artifact. And I've used this expression, to dine al fresco. So al fresco is an Italian word. It's an Italian word that we use incorrectly in English. When we say al fresco in English, we mean outside. But I think in Italian it just means fresh. So we're using it incorrectly. But if you can use this phrase because it's the phrase we would use as a high-level English speaker. To dine al fresco means to dine outside, to picnic. Okay. So, in addition or furthermore, which one is better? Both of them. If you use in addition and then you can use furthermore in an essay, you're going to show the examiner that you can use cohesive devices in a real way, in a logical way, and not repeating yourself. So they're as good as each other. They mean the same thing. I would say if you can use both of them, that's great. You may not be able to use lots of cohesive devices in task 1, but if you can use at least a few, it's going to help you with your score. Okay, so that is the correction of this essay with the model answer, and you can find all the information for that in all the information for that in the document. Okay, so let's get to a few questions. So Naz, you are asking, so you said you got your academic exam, which is on the 10th of July. So you got 20 days. So it really, basically with 20 days, what I would do is, the first thing to realize is in 20 days, you're not going to dramatically improve the level of English you are now. Because what you're trying to do is to improve your English. This is what the exam's about. It tells you what level you are. So, I mean, some people will claim that you can move from a band 5 to a band 7 in 20 days. That's not going to happen. But if you're already a band 6 or 7, what you can do in 20 days is make sure that you don't get a band 5 because you make a mistake. So the first thing to do is to dedicate some time to understanding the structure of the exam. Know exactly what you're going to be doing on exam day. Okay, so which exams do you take first? What comes next? So for most exam centres, you're going to be doing your listening, reading and writing on the same day, and your speaking will be on a separate day, although I do think in some places they do everything together. Okay, so know what you're going to be doing. Look over the instructions. Know for each kind of question what instructions you have. For example, if for a true, false, not given question in reading, understand what true, false and not given actually means. The more time you have to spend reading the instructions, the less time you have for the listening and reading. So just practice that. Spend some time doing that. Learn the structure of all the essay types in task 2 and task 1. If you're watching this channel, you can find lots of videos about that, just to be familiar with what you have to do. And for the speaking, know what to expect. So you have the first part where you have to meet the examiner and provide all this kind of this documentation. You have your part 1, your part 2 and part 3. Know that part 1 of the speaking is more like an interview. Part 2, you have to speak for 1 to 2 minutes about a prompt. And part 3 are slightly more in-depth questions. So know the structure. That is pretty much an afternoon of your 20 days. That stuff you can learn very quickly. After that, what you want to do is to start practicing taking your writing under exam conditions. You want to give yourself 1 hour to write a task 1 and a task 2, and to see how long it takes you. If it takes you more than an hour, keep practicing. What you want to do is to try and get as much written for task 1 in about 13 minutes to 15 minutes, giving yourself 5 minutes to plan and proofread. And for task 2, to write an entire essay in about 30 minutes, giving yourself about 10 minutes to plan and proofread. So you want to practice that. The other thing you want to do is to practice taking an entire mock test back to back. So I mean taking a listening, a reading and a writing on the same day. Because if you've never done that before, it's going to be a big shock when you do it on exam day. So this is not just an English test. It's what Michael likes to say is an endurance test. Endurance is like one of those sports where you have to do lots of activity back to back. Okay. Yeah. So 6.5. This for most students is doable. So I think we did we mark some of your writing? I think that you seemed okay there. The other thing is you can take a mock speaking test. So if you join me tomorrow, we can try and do that, Naz, and you'll get an idea of where you are. So learn the structure and start practicing under exam conditions. Then for the rest of the time that you have, you want to try and interact with a tutor or someone like me on the internet who can give you feedback on your writing and your speaking, and concentrate on your errors. Okay, so for example with Shoki here, if Shoki had 20 days, what they would have to do in terms of grammar is they would have to concentrate on using the and correctly. This is a massive problem that they have, and in 20 days they could learn not to make this problem, and that would push this part up to a 7. So identify the biggest errors that you have, and the only way to do this really is to have someone who's a slightly better English speaker than you to point them out to you, and concentrate on that. The point is, in 20 days you're not going to become fluent, but you can fix a lot of the errors that drag you down. So yeah, concentrating on basic grammatical errors and using vocabulary, that will help you. And for the rest of it, I would say make sure that you're spending at least 20 minutes a day reading for fun, and also spend some time reading IELTS type material. So these are two separate tasks. And also watch TV in English. It will help you be immersed in the language, okay? So if I had 20 days, that's what I would do. Make sure I went over exactly what the exam's about. Start practicing under exam conditions to get used to it. A good tip is also to do it early, because many exams happen early in the morning. So get your brain working early in the morning. Concentrate on the biggest errors that you make in your writing and your speaking. Spend time reading and listening to English every day just to get used to it. And also just relax. There's a lot you can do in 20 days, but you cannot do everything. So give it a go. So what time is the speaking class tomorrow? So tomorrow we had, so it's Saturday. So the class is at 4 p.m. Taiwan time. Now originally we had a correction put down, but I think what I might do is change this, and we'll have a kind of an open speaking class. So I'll be available tomorrow, and I'll try and set up a Zoom call, and we'll see if we can get anyone to join us. And yeah, we just have a chat, and I can give you some feedback. So if you're around 4 p.m. tomorrow, Saturday, then we can do that. Okay, so for now, thanks everyone for watching. If you've enjoyed the class, don't forget to give us a like. And if you need any more practice, there are so many. If I go here, there are so many videos on our channel about every aspect of the IELTS. Lots more speaking and writing videos, to be honest, just because those are the issues that our students have. So that's why we created the channel. Right, do all 4 modules need to be practiced daily? I wouldn't say we had 20 days, okay? 20 days, obviously not a long time. I would say for the week, yeah, for that month, basically, I would once a week, at least once a week, do a full exam. At least listening, reading, and writing, and if possible, practice speaking on my own. At least once a week. And the week running up to the exam, I might try and do that 2 or 3 times a week. It's really just to train you in the endurance, because like I've been talking for an hour, okay, and I feel a little bit tired, and I'm a native speaker. You're going to be spending like nearly 3 hours on at least one day doing English. You've got to train yourself for that, yeah. So I would say that for the rest of it, you might have one day that you dedicate to reading, one day you dedicate to writing, and so on. What I'm saying is that at least one day a week running up to your exam, try and do a full exam just for the endurance factor. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, don't worry if we talk online tomorrow, it'll be very relaxed. Not to worry. Just to give you some feedback, because it's one of those things, because I know I speak a second language. You don't realize you're making a mistake until someone points it out to you. And once you're aware of a mistake, it sticks in your mind, and you won't make that mistake again because you'll concentrate on it. And everybody has different mistakes. I've taught a lot of students, for the most part, there are general mistakes that people have within a language group, but then individuals always have that one or two things that they struggle with, and until they know about it, they can't fix it. So that's what we're trying to do tomorrow. Yeah. Okay. So thanks very much, guys. Have a good evening, and I will see everyone tomorrow. I'll be here at 4 p.m. Taiwan time, and we'll try and get people on the live stream, and we'll do some talking. That'll be interesting. Get to hear your voices. They're very exciting for us. Okay. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.